Marcus King, thank you for joining us today. We're chatting because you're coming back to Australia, coming back to Bluesfest. When you think back at your last Australian trip and your time at Bluesfest, is there anything specific that comes to mind?
Man, last time we were over, we just had a real great big time, you know, a lot of good days on the beach, a lot of good times with fellow musicians, a lot of fellowship, a lot of good music was made and a lot of sun, a lot of good times, man. I mean, ain't nothing better than good times.
Yeah. Growing up, your grandfather was a musician, your dad is a musician. I believe you had a lot of guitars lying around in the house. Was there a favorite guitar that you picked up back in the day?
Anytime I could get my hands on my grandfather's Big Red Gibson guitar was always a great day. What a treat. And I'm now the proud owner of Big Red. And it's a 1962 ES 345 in cherry red. Yeah. And it's just beautifully patinaed and just can't really get any better than that.
Yeah, and you're playing through the orange amp still?
Oh yeah, man. Red guitars and orange amplifiers, that's the money.
Yeah. So how many guitars do you take on the road with you these days?
About 5 or 6. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we come over to you all, I think I'll probably just have the 3 with me.
Yeah. Did your grandfather or father ever impart any business advice to you about the music industry?
They were always real good about telling me what not to do.
Yeah.
And what to look out for. It was really more lessons in morality, lessons in human nature more so than music itself, because I feel like if you let the music speak for itself and you have a good sense of how human beings can be, then I think you'll make it all right.
Yeah. You studied music and you studied the playing styles of people like Duane Allman and B.B. King and Albert King, all very different players. Is there one element that they all have in common?
Sincerity. Sincerity is the common thread amongst all the musicians that I admire the most because, you know, I've mentioned it before, one note with the proper amount of sincerity and intention behind it is worth its weight in gold compared to, you know, someone playing a lot of notes and they don't mean half of them.
Yeah. So space in your playing is important too?
I think so. I mean, for me, I just try to put a lot of intention and a lot of love behind every note.
Yeah. The new album, Young Blood, is very different from El Dorado. From all reports, you weren't in a great place health-wise when you were making the album. How did you work through that period to make the album?
Well, music is the greatest healer, really. I mean, for me, a therapist was good too later on, but music was really healing. And for me, it was good timing wise that I was able to be in the studio and working and focused on music at such a low point.
Yeah. What was the vision from the start musically with Young Blood?
The vision from the start was to do a rock and roll record. And we knew that we wanted the lyric contextually to be a lot deeper than a lot of the rock records that we liked, because, you know, a lot of the rock and roll records that we really loved and that we were listening to for inspiration, you know, some of the lyrics didn't necessarily go as deep as we wanted to or tell much of a story. It'd be a little surface level, you know. I mean, these songs are classics for a reason, but we wanted to really tell a story. And just contextually, it was kind of serendipitous that I went through such a dark period right before we started writing the record, because we had a lot of subject matter to address from my life.
Yeah. I guess the pandemic didn't help your state of mind either?
Well, no, it didn't, but, you know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse kind of thing. It kind of, to me, expedited a failing relationship towards its end. It kind of expedited that instead of it kind of being drawn out for however many more years it would have been, and a toxic relationship can really have a microscope shined on it, in a context of a global pandemic when you're locked down with one another. And, not to say that I'm not completely blameless in the situation, and I don't think anyone is in a failed relationship, but for me, failure of the relationship just kind of lended itself to more substance abuse, and the lack of adulation that you get from a crowd really kind of it just kind of like inflamed my abandonment issues. So all of it just kind of came to a head all at once, and the crescendo of it was this record, Youngblood.
Yeah. What is it about working with Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys that you like so much?
Well, before it was just his dedication to the craft and his just complete I don't know, he just kind of surrenders himself to the music, and we're similar in that way, and that we want the music to speak for itself, and we're acting as channels for the music to kind of flow through. That's the most important thing you can do, is not let your ego get involved too much. And Dan's really good about that. And then with Youngblood, there was a real comfort of having someone who I look to as like an older brother in a lot of ways, as a mentor and as a really dear friend. So the comfortability level was really high, and it was a really dark period and dark subject matter for me. So that was really organic, as it were.
I believe Desmond Child had a part to play in the album as well.
Yeah, we wrote a tune together. The first song for the record, in fact, we wrote with Desmond.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
It was interesting, man. Desmond he's a character. He's unapologetically Desmond all the time, and I really admire him. I, shamefully, I wasn't very familiar with his accolades before I met him, but after the fact, I became, educated to who he was. I knew he was someone pretty spectacular because he has an aura about himself that he carries with him everywhere, and he's a really outstanding presence to have around, and just such a swell dude. And I'm glad I didn't know about his past, credits, because I would have been too nervous to write with him. But I'm really, really thrilled with Blood on the Tracks.
Yeah. How's your cutoff valve? Are you good at knowing when an album is done?
We are, man. And Dan's really good at that. Everybody kind of was like, we got a record, and we went bowling. I remember that's how we finished the record.
Yeah. A lot of musicians get so busy writing, recording, and performing that they don't get to listen to music much. How often do you listen to music just for enjoyment? And do you do it in the car? Do you do it at home? Vinyl, CD?
Right. I mean, so when I'm out on the road, I like to have like Ink Spot's radio playing, or like old Benny Goodman. I like real lo-fi jazz, like from the 40s. It calms me down. I really like a lot of Billie Holiday. I like really sad, morose music, and calms me down, just puts me at ease. But before the set, I listen to a lot of music. I listen to like hype gospel music, or something that'll get me like really energized. When I'm working out, I like to listen to like Bob Seger and free rock and roll groups, Grand Funk.
Yeah.
But after the gig, when I'm on the bus, I listen to either informative or just what's the word I'm looking for? Just irreverent podcasts, just something kind of silence the noise in your head, the ringing in your ears.
Yeah. You play so many styles of music, blues and rock and jazz. Excuse me. Do you have any bucket list projects that you want to get to one day?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I'm actually working on some new stuff right now that's a lot different than anything I've ever done, and you know, a country record's always on the horizon for me. Just, I guess you'd call it throwback country, but for me, I would just call it country. Um, you know, I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah. And what's the grand plan for Marcus King?
The grand plan for me, just a big old family, house on some land, and you know, just being able to take care of me and mine, and just many years to spend and love my wife and our kids and their kids, and just thankful to have hopefully a lot more years to enjoy that and to enjoy music.
Yeah. Well, Marcus, we're looking forward to seeing you down here at Easter next year, and thanks for chatting with us.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me.